it's either a lesson or a blessing in disguise. And I think when you can start to look at life that way and go, well, this is a blessing. And for me, the way I evaluate it, I don't know if, people can decide how they want to do it themselves. But for me, I choose to think that the blessings are what I like and the blessings in disguise are what I don't like.
In today's episode, we talk about the law of rhythm. We've talked about a few of the laws of the universe. That's a heavy focus we have on our Raise Your Vibration weekly call. But we talk about the law of rhythm, how to use that in your daily life, and really how to start applying it and understanding how all these laws work together. We cover a lot of different information on some of the different laws, but law of rhythm mainly today. So we hope you enjoy. Welcome back to the Healing Works podcast. Great to be here today. It's just us again today. Mm-hmm. Great to be here with you, honey.
Yeah.
I call you honey on the podcast. Is that
sure?
Does
Yes,
that work?
That works.
Well, yeah, we're excited to be back down in St. George. We're excited to do this episode today on. We've been focusing a lot on our Raise Your Vibration calls, our weekly calls, on right now this year, the laws of the universe. We're already into March, my goodness. Mm-hmm. But we've been focusing on the laws of the universe and how to align ourselves with those laws. We've talked about the law of perpetual transmutation, transmuting energy. Right. What was that? Was that the last law we talked about on the podcast? Yeah. Mm-hmm. But a lot, if you're new to the laws of the universe, one that you'll probably recognize is the law of attraction or the law of vibration. And so there's about 12 different universal laws, and we've just been covering them on the call and really how to, it's good to know the information, right? It's good to know what the law is so you can know how to work with it, right? Just as the laws of the land, like a speed limit. Mm-hmm. If you don't know the speed limit, you don't know how fast or slow you can go on a road, right? Which may impact you as far as if there's, a police officer on that road. If you didn't know the speed limit is 55 and you're going 75, that may be a problem. But it's really how to understand that law so we can make it, work for our betterment and use it to our advantage. And maybe the speed limit wasn't the best.
Well, I mean, people understand that when you know the law, you can obey it, right, and then not suffer the consequences or the effect of breaking that law or breaking yourself against that law. So, I mean, the laws of the land are, they're subject to change based on different variables. But the laws of the universe are immutable and can't be changed. And listen, I'm not a rule follower, so I don't care for rules. But
she's not.
I mean,
it depends on what set of rules, because that brings up a different another conversation, though, because what I just said about the laws of the land, I'm using that as a reference point. But at the end of the day, the laws of the land can vary, but the laws of the universe are immutable and don't change. So right, the laws of the universe are always working, where a speed limit isn't necessarily always working, yeah, right? Because it changes depending on the road you're on. But I digress, because it's the laws of the universe are, I don't know, I'm pointing over here on the table, something over here, but they're immutable, meaning they can't, they don't change, and they're always working. Mm-hmm. Like these 12 laws of the universe are always working. The law of attraction is always working. You are attracting into your life every second of the day, either things that either way, you're attracting things into your life, right?
That you are a vibrational match for.
That you're a vibrational match for. And that law can't be changed. We're going to talk about the law of rhythm today, but just one that everyone understands or knows of or has heard of, with The Secret and Bob Proctor. And, there's been a lot of people talking about the law of attraction or law of vibration, and you will be attracting into your life constantly what you're a vibrational match to. And that vibrational match is critically, and not only critically, but dependent on your vibration that you are producing in the moment by your emotion and your thought. So everyone knows about that one, but let's talk about the law of rhythm today.
Okay, let's do it. And just to kind of reiterate why it's important is because when you find yourself following the laws that govern this existence, this universe, then it eliminates so much chaos and static and interference and so many different things that you have to manage. And like I was saying, it's not that I'm not a rule follower. I'm not a rule breaker.
In school, you did not follow the rules.
Well, who made them? Who made the rules? I want to know.
I'm just saying they're the rules, though.
Whose rules am I following? Why? Why did they decide what the rules are?
I know, but then you and Amberly recently, in the last couple of years, used to tell me that it's the rules, so you made your own rules. Rules at school, your own rules. Which ones do you follow? Right?
Okay, so there are rules and there are laws. There are rules.
That's true, right?
And rules are like, okay, I could see. It's not like I'm a...
Well, they say rules are meant to be broken.
Hey, I will tell you this. As far as following the laws, it's not that I don't speed. I do. I just count on...
That's not admissible in court, though. So I don't speed.
Here's the thing. I just count on my the radar bouncing off my electromagnetic field and not picking me up. My daughter's always like, Mom, how do you get away with everything? But I am 42. And I've never had a speeding ticket. I've never been pulled over.
Oh, this is true.
So listen, I'm aware that there are rules and laws and they're helpful and they're there. I don't always, Hey,
but I totally agree with what you just said about your electromagnetic field being expanded. I'm telling you, one of the last times we came down here, because we come down to St. George, is where Blue Form Media is. That's our producers, the podcast. Obviously, they're fantastic.
They're awesome.
If you are looking to start your own podcast,
they're very picky on who they'll work with, though.
Blue Form on the Instagram as well. But when we come down here to record once a month, a couple times ago we were coming down, and I was driving. I may have not been going a little faster than the posted speed limit.
The recommended.
But there was an officer, hiding out in one of the little turnabouts between the freeways, and he pulled out and he flipped on his lights, and I was like, oh man. But obviously our electromagnetic fields were so expanded that it voided him off, and he nailed another car. And there was a guy that was right behind me. Was it right behind me or right in front of me? Right in front of me. Mm-hmm. And we caught up to him, and they were like clapping, like, yeah, he didn't get you. But it was pretty funny. But yeah.
We flew under the radar.
Yeah. We were stealth.
It bounced right off. No, I'm just kidding. But listen, as far as the rules and the hair stuck in my lip gloss, as far as the rules and the laws of the land and stuff like that, they're there. There's got to be some type of order in the court. But I am not interested in resistance. So as far as the laws of the universe, they resonate with me. I'm like, right. Okay, I will do that because I don't like resistance. There's no reason. I prefer the state of flow. So I try to, these laws really make sense to me that it's like, all right, what law needs to be applied here to get out of the resistance that I'm feeling? Because it's not like I don't feel resistance or, have a downswing like we'll talk about in the law of rhythm, but keeping perspective in that and knowing that it's one of the laws of the universe that, how I need to gain perspective in my life or think of things or apply other laws that to help me understand my current situation. It right sizes or corrects so many imbalances that I don't have to be like, okay, what am I thinking in this moment? Where did it come from? What did I go through when I was a kid? What traumas? Okay, I need to think a new thought. And you know what I mean? It's too much to manage for me to try to chase that down. And so I'm like, what law do I need to follow right now to get myself out of the situation, to get back to a state of balance? Because that's what I think it's all about in life is we're here in this physical world. We're these spiritual beings having a physical human experience, and how do we maintain that sense of balance? Because that's what nature is. If you aren't in balance in nature, you die. Like that's what,
Right.
And so it's always maintaining that state of balance, that personal balance of where am I at and how do I know I'm out of balance? I'm suffering. I'm sick. I'm tired. I'm struggling with my mental or emotional well-being. What do I need to apply here? What law do I need to apply or look at?
Physically drained.
Yeah. To get back into a state of balance where it's not so much resistance. It's not so difficult.
Well, and resistance also, is what makes us stronger, right?
Mm-hmm.
If there's no resistance at the gym, you wouldn't create bigger muscles or, on a run or, anything physical activity. And so it's, and this will tie right in, obviously, the law of rhythm, but also, a jet taking off. It doesn't take off with the wind. It takes off into the wind.
Well, I have that in my notes here too, like with the law of rhythm, because it's, we don't, again, fighting against the laws is not going to be beneficial, or we suffer the consequences when we're not in alignment with the laws. I guess it's not really a consequence. It's just more of an effect.
Right.
I think that people get really hung up on, God is judging me. I'm so bad. I've done this. And I'm not sure it's about that. I think it's more you're either in alignment with the laws and you are benefiting, or you are out of alignment with the laws and you are suffering or feeling the effects of that. And I think that's just really what it boils down to. But as far as the law of gravity, that's what I wrote that down here in my notes. That
on my remarkable.
Yeah, on my remarkable. But I was thinking about transcending the law. Like, how do we apply it when we're struggling? Like
right.
And transcending the law of rhythm is applying the law of polarity. So then when the law of rhythm is everything has a season, everything is ebbing and flowing. And so when you're in that downswing and in life, which is inevitable, when we enact or apply the law of polarity, that everything has an equal opposite, there's polar opposites, there's as much good in every bad situation. And when we can look at things like that, then we can kind of, again, come back to that state of balance. But it's just like the law of gravity. You can transcend the law of gravity with the law of lift. So it's like, okay, gravity brings us down, but the law of lift makes us rise above it. So just like what you're saying, anyway, you made the same analogy and we didn't even talk about it. So we were on the same page there, but there's the equal opposite, right? So if gravity makes you fall and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so subject to the law of gravity, I can't do anything about it. It's like, well, there's the law of lift. So why don't you work that in your favor? And there's options here. How do you want to look at it?
Well, look, I think this is one thing that all of us need to do a better job of realizing and paying attention to is like the law of lift or flying, right? You can't fly all the time.
Right.
Like if you were flying all the time, you wouldn't know what the ground was like, right?
Exactly.
And so it takes both to balance out. Just like there couldn't be joy without pain, there couldn't be happiness without sadness, there couldn't be, love without fear. It's all, in this beautiful creation from God and the universe, it's all in a balanced state, right? We wouldn't know the greatness without knowing, the struggles. We wouldn't know. And so I think as we are discussing this law of rhythm, it's so important to understand that, and really not just to understand, but to really start applying in the moment that, it's like, I'll finish that. Applying in the moment these practices of especially heart coherence and can you be in peace when you're in that downswing, or can you be at peace when you're in a little resistance, right? Can you see the benefit of it? Can you understand and, apply the tools and techniques to make that process quicker? Because, boredom. Let's talk about boredom really quick, right? We're at Lexi's house and the kids are like, I'm bored. and Brooklyn said it the other day, Dad, I'm bored. But it's the same thing. Without boredom, you wouldn't appreciate the playtime, right? And so
creation.
it's just, can you be in a state of balance and flow most of the time throughout the day, whether it's really, really fun and you're at a concert or you're, at the gym. And I say that because I love the gym, but, at the gym but can you do that at work? Can you do that, in service to other people? Can you do that, all throughout the day? And look, I'm not saying you got to be, skipping and frolicking through the weeds, or not through the weeds, but through the grass, all the time. But why not? Right? But it can't yet. That's the point, is can we evolve and develop and enjoy every part of the day?
Right.
Right? Rather than just looking forward to, most of us look forward to the weekends or look forward to the vacations and look forward to the, the fun times, but those are so few and far in between that if we're living for those, man, we're missing out on a lot.
Right. And back to the law of rhythm really fast, just to kind of explain it. Because
I'm going all over the place.
No, that's okay. We just kind of started talking. So that's what you get. That's what you get today.
That's what you get.
So the law of rhythm states that everything is cyclical and change is always around the corner. This law is the process of moving in and out of various phases in life or experiencing seasons of change. So as life is ever changing and kind of flowing in and out of different seasons and different changes, can we again maintain that state of balance when things are coming and going in our lives? It's like the ocean, if it came in and just stayed, that would be weird. The tide or went out and just stayed, that would be weird. And we don't fight that. We let that come in and go out as it needs to. And as we look at our lives and work within that law, it's like, what comes in, and can we have a strong will when things are coming in? And then can we have detachment, live the law of detachment as it goes out and let go of what no longer serves us? And it comes in and it goes out as it needs to, as nature sees fit, as God sees fit, as the universe is working to really organize so many different variables that we can't see. I mean, when you think about fighting that, it really is kind of silly, to try to hold on to something that's trying to go out, the tide that's going out, trying to hold on to that, or trying to fight when it comes in. And so as things are changing in your life, if you can stop and reflect and go, this is a law of rhythm. Life is constantly ebbing and flowing. Things are kind of, taking a downswing right now, but it's either a lesson or a blessing, or a blessing in disguise. And I think when you can start to look at life that way and go, well, this is a blessing. And for me, the way I evaluate it, I don't know if, people can decide how they want to do it themselves. But for me, I choose to think that the blessings are what I like and the blessings in disguise are what I don't like. If I like it, I'm like, oh, that's a blessing. If I don't like it, I'm like, it's a blessing in disguise. So something else must be coming with it. And I'm going to try to let go of what no longer serves me and wonder what's going to come back in with the tide that's shifting, and just kind of let things come in and go out as they need to, based on a higher power that understands this plan much better than I can, much better than I do.
Right. Well, and can they all be blessings, like you just said? Because look, how much quicker can we get, shift out of and transmute that energy of something that's going on to something more peaceful, by being aware. Sometimes you can't fast forward some things that happen in life, but you can always find the beauty in it. Yeah. Right.
Totally.
And one thing that comes to mind, when you talk about the law of rhythm and patterns, right? Because rhythms are patterns, right? Is the seasons of of the planet. And it's like right now, we're in St. George and it's 50, we pulled up here, it's 50 degrees right now.
Which is awesome.
At noon, which is awesome. In Salt Lake, it's like 30 degrees. But it's, when I talk to a lot of people, and when a common theme is the weather, right? That's what most people bring up in a casual conversation because it's very, very relevant. And it's like,
it's relevant and it's surface enough that everyone can kind of relate to it, and it doesn't get too deep.
Like, hey, how's the weather, buddy? Some random stranger, how's the weather? But it happens all the time. But, what are we today? What's the day? Friday. was that last Wednesday, not this last one, but the week before, so a week and a half ago. I mean, it dumped what did we get, 12 inches of snow. I mean, granted, it was the end of February, but by March, I think, even for myself, you get itchy because you're like, oh, I want it to warm up because we've had, it's been a heavy winter. But the point is that most people are already looking towards the next season, right? Instead of appreciating what is in the law of rhythm and the patterns, right? Because we wouldn't appreciate the winter if we didn't appreciate the summer, in the spring, summer, fall. But in the summer, all I hear from most people is like, oh my gosh, it's so hot. I can't stand it. I can't wait till it cools down. Well, matter of fact, when it cools down and then the winter hits, it's like, oh my gosh, I'm so sick of the snow. It's like, the point is that there's always rhythm, and the earth is going through its cycles. And, there's a statement that says, if you don't like what's going on, just wait, because the season will change, because every tree loses its leaves,
right,
and then it produces them new again in the spring, right? So spring happens, new life is formed, the animals have babies, the trees sprout new leaves, new fruit, new vegetables, and, everything starts growing, flourishes, everything gets beautiful, summer happens, it keeps flourishing, and then, September comes, October comes, everything starts, getting colder, dying off, a little barren.
It's a season to rest. It's bears hibernate for the winter. That's their time to rest. And with the law of rhythm guarantees adversity. Right. It just does, because of the nature of the law. With that downswing, it's adversity, but that's where we rest, we evaluate, we gain some perspective. And if there wasn't that law of rhythm and that change, back to the airplane analogy, it's like once you have liftoff and you're up cruising, if there's no change in speed, you don't know you're going anywhere. There's nothing to relate it to. There's no change unless you hit turbulence or you've got a turn and you feel that. But we want to feel alive as human beings. And so that rhythm allows us to feel. It allows us to gain some perspective. It allows us to look at things differently and to appreciate the upswings. And when we're in that downswing, we can know by the laws of the universe that the upswing is coming. So let's regroup. Let's get ready to take our lives to higher heights and more growth. And it's such a blessing. But sometimes we get so caught up in the fear of a downswing that's coming, or common phrases like waiting for the next shoe to drop. Like, surely there's another downswing that's coming. Well, surely there's also another upswing that's coming too, So how do you want to focus on it? What do you want to do in the downswing? Is that a time? It's like climbing a mountain, you can't just go straight up. You've got to have those switchbacks, or sometimes that reprieve to go to higher heights. So it really is such a blessing and a gift to have these laws for us to gain so much more understanding and to align with them. And can we master that state of alignment? Can we get our minds, bodies, and spirits, our emotional state, our mental state, our physical state in alignment to work within these laws to master this existence here on this planet?
Well, and that's a good point. And I think the point is, for me, is to make these downswings different, right? Is instead of having it be, if you're only listening, you can't see this, but instead of having it look like, like a
straight line,
heart rate variability, good heart rate variability. We want the swings to start climbing upwards. And like Altee said, with the switchback on the trails, always in a trajectory of
upward
climbing and upward movement. And it's like these, I think of them more like, a reprieve to gain energy and to gain momentum into the next climb, right? New levels, new devils, right? Every next level of our life is going to require a different version of us. So with the law of rhythm, we have to have that time to recover and to gain momentum into the next uphill climb, right? we can't just climb straight up forever.
Right.
That's, inherently impossible. The same thing with sleep, right?
Yeah.
We can have all the energy in the day, go work out, accomplish things, but we need sleep at night, that rhythm of day and night to rest, recover, so we can have more energy tomorrow and attack it from a different angle, or, put forth more effort or gain more alignment or what have you. But it's, can we start dictating to the universe from our vibration and how we feel and think to start shifting reality instead of letting reality dictate to us how things are going to go, right?
Yeah, I think people, I think the key to living this law again is having that strong will and then detachment, but also maintaining a state of balance in the downswing and the upswing.
Right.
And I mean, the sleep, the circadian rhythm, our body cycles and what's going on each hour of the day, and everything runs by cycles and seasons and rhythm. But I forgot what I was going to say about
That's okay.
What you had just said. You just keep talking. It'll come back to me. But
yeah, in talking circadian rhythms and the rhythm of the body, obviously the main thing that causes rhythm in the body is our hearts, right? Every system in our body is synced to the rhythm of our heart. So that's why, we profess so much that being in an elevated state of peace and happiness and joy and, even just ease and calm, if it's not gratitude or appreciation, compassion and care, that heart rhythm, your heart rate variability, that rhythm, the rest of your body systems are synced to that. So your autonomic nervous system that controls 95% of your bodily functions, your endocrine system production, which produces all of your hormonal outputs, right? Your digestive system, every system in the body is synced to your heart rhythms. So if your heart rhythms are chaotic, meaning that it's that of frustration, anger, anxiety, depression, worry, sadness, any of these depleting emotions,
stressful,
that provides stress on the nervous system because the nervous system isn't able to sync entirely with the heart, and it's just out of balance. It's in an incoherent state.
I remember what I was going to say.
Okay.
So, and it goes along with what you're saying, but that's a lot of people spend a lot of their time fighting the laws, really, is what it comes down to, right? And so then everything feels stressful. So it's like a downswing is coming, no, and then an upswing is coming, no, and they just are always reacting to the situation and fighting it like there's something wrong.
Always in resistance.
Yes. Yeah. And so if you understand that life is about the ebbs and flows, and we've heard that. Everybody's heard that, and it's like, okay, great. It doesn't make me feel any better. Yeah, but it's again, that's why we preach heart coherence so much, because in that state you can flow with these ebbs and flows. You can go with it and be able to maintain that state of balance, and rather than fighting it and feel like there's something wrong and having it induce stress when you're, going on the ups and downs, it's like, hey, this is life. This is what it's about. I'm doing it. I'm mastering my mental, emotional, and physical well-being, while these things are coming in and going out that are totally out of my control. And so I think people feel that stress when they feel like things should be different than the way that they are, because the ebbs and flows aren't, the way they should be.
Right.
So when you assume that everything that's coming and going is exactly on time, in order, based on so many other elements in the universe, then it's like, okay, then all I'm left to be able to do then is manage my state of being during these ebbs and flows. And once I can do that, then I can start to manipulate energy. So you can't do anything to change outcomes and to align with what you desire if you can't maintain and manage the way that you think and the way that you feel. So that's got to be the focus first. Like, can you maintain this state of balance as the law of rhythm is at play in the universe, And once you can do that, then you can start to use your energy to focus and enact the law of correspondence. So the law of correspondence is that your outer world reflects your inner world. Well, you've got to get your inner world in order first before you can change anything in your outer world. And so often we spend so much time trying to control and manipulate and force the outer world because we feel so out of control in our inner world.
Right.
So then it's like, okay, the law of rhythm, the law of correspondence, the law of polarity. It's like, okay, you start to be aware of these laws and start to work within them. You, like I was saying at the beginning of this, you eliminate a lot of chaos. You eliminate a lot of resistance by being able to gain that perspective in the moment. Like, okay, if my outer world reflects my inner world, I better get my inner world in order. How do I do that? Okay, so it's the law of rhythm. Life is ebbing and flowing. Okay, so everything's okay. Everything's in order. Everything's right on time. There's cycles to life. Okay, fine. I'm in a downswing. Then it must be a blessing in disguise, not a blessing that I enjoy. Okay, and you start to kind of put things in order and eliminate so much of the chaos. It's like a budget. Okay, let's not talk about a budget. Let's leave that one out. It's like macros for fitness. If you know your macros or your calorie count, then all the other options of like, should I do this? Is this going to, you just eliminate so many things and you streamline the process of like, what's my goal and what's my fastest way to getting there?
Right.
Was that a relevant analogy?
Yeah, I think so. Okay. I mean, it's the same as lifting weights or training in the gym or training for a marathon like you can't train all the time. Like I love lifting weights, but I can't be at the gym for 8 hours a day lifting weights. Like that's not physically possible.
I mean, 3 you could.
Well, but not 8.
Right.
I'm not all day long.
Right. No,
I mean, I'm replacing work with the gym, I couldn't be at the gym. I mean, I can just, BS with people for a long time, which I'm good at, but I'm just saying I couldn't be lifting weights for that amount of time during the day. Like you'd cause rhabdo, you'd cause so many problems with your body because it's not possible because law of rhythm, you can, put forth some strenuous activity, some stress on the muscles, some stress on the nervous system, but then it has to have time to recover and rebuild, like rest days, right?
Right.
I don't love rest days, but you got to take them.
Right. Well, and I think too, to add to the working out and stuff like that is expanding that to what I think people struggle with is worrying about all the variables. What if I don't get there? Or what if I, and all the other things that kind of cause chaos. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not just the resistance and the actual workout and that you can't work out all the time, but it's also worrying about like anything else that might get in the way of that happening too. Right. It's like, gosh, you just eliminate so much stress and worry and so much really bandwidth of your focus by just what needs to be done and then getting it done.
Well, and I think so many of us, paddle upstream instead of going with the flow because we think it should happen in a different way because that's how we thought about it or that's how we think it should go. I mean, I guess the same thing, thought about it and think how it should go. But I think that's where a lot of people get stuck and feel the struggle instead of just letting go and focusing on the possibilities, right?
Well, that's because that's the default mode, right? That's the human, that's the natural man. The default mode is trying to control the external world because you're in survival. And if you're in survival, then you've got to protect yourself and you've got to look for the threats in your environment. So that's the default. Right. So the mastery level then is going inward and controlling your inner world and learning how to live in accordance with these laws and then going with the flow and assuming that everything that's coming in and going out or everything that comes to your, like we talked about, the law of perpetual transmutation, being able to take that downswing and how quickly can you get to an upswing because you are able to manage your state of being and shift that from a stressful state to a coherent state.
Right.
And that's where you start to become a master. You start to be able to manipulate energy and be able to shift on command with intention. And that's what we're really here for. But again, it's the default mode to try to paddle upstream to, for survival and control.
Yep. Yeah. Let's just stay in stress all day long.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not. Let's let's just not do that. Let's say we did, but don't do it, right? Or what is that phrase? I don't know.
Let's don't, but say we did.
Yeah, let's don't, but say we did. Thanks. I'm a little hungry. I'm struggling. No, kidding. But I think the key word, and I'm actually really, I'm surprised I didn't bring this up on our Raise Your Vibration, the last call on Wednesday, was the key word in all of this, and especially in the law of rhythm, especially, in the law of polarity, law of correspondence, like all of it is resilience, right?
Yeah.